seems like a deep dark night, but follow me outside into the moonlight.
Welcome back to the Wild Rose Moon's Moonlight series, featuring the talent that surrounds us all. We are back with our second part of the series with Patty Shaffner. Glad to have you back. She has some beautiful jazz-inspired music. We have John Baylor as our host. I'm Ryan Muir. Off we go into the moonlight. A beautiful opening song.
Hey, thank you. Nice playing.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to Moonlight. Thank you for joining us for our second episode with Patty Shaffner. We got to hear a couple of tunes from her and hear a little bit of her musical backstory, but we didn't get to hear too much about her experience in theater, musical theater. So I would wonder if you could tell us just some of your major accomplishments to start us off with musical theater.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take just a little bit of a back step and say that I became fascinated with theater when I went to go see a production of Peter Pan with my mom at the Gary Theater when I was growing up, and I thought that's the coolest thing ever. But it didn't occur to me to actually do anything with it until I was in dental hygiene school, and one of my instructors was doing theater, musical theater, in Valparaiso at the Memorial Opera House, and said, "Hey, you sing, why don't you come and audition?" So I did, and my first role was in a chorus line, and basically I was singing off stage because the dancers weren't necessarily good singers. But I did have a line, and so my first line in a musical theater was touring companies. That was it. And I was the bad dancer in the back, but I could sing. And it kind of got me hooked. And so I went on to do quite a number of musicals because they needed singers. And I did a few straight plays as well. I was actually nominated for Best Actress as Paulina in Death and the Maiden. That was my major non-musical theater. But I was Kate in Kiss Me Kate. I was Grace in the 1940s Radio Hour. I was Grace in Annie, and which was kind of a minor role, but still fun. And it really wasn't until I started doing cameos that I found my niche in theater. I was Saragina, the voluptuous, and this is literally the description in the script, the voluptuous beach whore in the musical play Nine. And those who saw the movie remember Fergie singing Be Italian. That was my song. And I get to be barefoot and wild-haired and be crazy on stage, and it was so much fun for me. And then I ended up winning my first award for a cameo role. I went on to do Sordid Lives, where my job was to open each scene with a song. Country singer. I was Bitsy Mae Harlan. And I also was Trix, the aviatrix in The Drowsy Chaperone, and ended up winning an award for that. But I was also nominated numerous times for my directing, and I loved being in the director's seat. It's a lot of fun.
So you mentioned that first experience, singing in the background and having your one line, and then you say you were hooked. Now, when we were talking in the last episode about music, you were kind of hooked at an open mic when you were shaken and trembling and afraid, but you felt that support of the audience and the response of the audience, and that was sort of what grabbed you about it. So what was it in musical theater about that experience that made you feel like you were hooked?
That you got to be somebody else. You didn't have to worry about who you were. You had a character assigned, and there you got to be this other person. And if you could throw yourself into that role, it didn't matter. Actually, my last play, I was Jacqueline in La Cage aux Folles, and Jacqueline followed me around for quite a while, saying the most outrageous things. So I like those characters who then kind of tap into other parts of yourself. And I think most of us who've done theater will agree that at some point there's finding little parts of yourself that get to come alive in those characters on stage.
But it sounds like there's also something freeing just about you're just this person. You don't do any other part of yourself, just this part. Stay within those boundaries, and then you're free.
Yeah, it is. It's very freeing. And over the years I've learned to be most comfortable on stage as well. People say, "Do you get nervous before you go on stage?" Whatever it is that I have in nerves, I turn into energy in performance. And I actually teach stage presence and how to deal with stage fright. And I've done that for the Acorn Theater up in Three Oaks.
Yeah, I get questions about stage fright all the time, and I perform so much. If I'm doing what I know how to do, there's never a hint of fear. And
Yeah.
if I step out into a little bit of a different audience, especially, then all of a sudden, oh boy.
Out of the character,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Out of the one who knows what his lines are or what he's supposed to do.
Right, yeah.
But it becomes about channeling the energy of that nervousness into your performance.
Is that something that I'm sure that applies to you as a musician performer as well? Do you feel like that's something you gained by being in theater, or you would have picked that up in other ways?
They used to tell me all the time that I had a natural stage presence. Pardon me.
The
I
theater
don't know
people
what.
told you
No,
that,
my musician friends
yeah.
would tell me, "Oh, you have got such a natural stage presence." Well, I don't know what that means or how even to define that. But theater just allowed me to take what was already innately there and grow that exponentially.
What are some other ways that you would say experience in theater has shaped you as a musician?
It's allowed me to be more theatrical, having a natural stage presence, whatever the heck that meant or means, it was undefined, but having the experience in musical theater allowed me to think about what I was singing in terms of performance, that I can actually, I can be in this song what I need to be. And if what I need to be is funny, then I can be funny. If I need to be serious, I can be serious. If I need to be romantic, I can be romantic. I can hopefully express through my body language, my facial expression, to add to what I'm singing. Because we've all seen the performers who sing a lovely song, and then there's like, hello, is there anybody in there? It's a beautiful, beautiful song, but who's in there?
Right.
Who's singing it?
Well, I get this comment from people sometimes that it just sounds like you really believe what you're singing. And I don't
Yes.
think I'm as much of a performer as what you are or some other musicians are, but I still, there's something that I convey that way. And it's a compliment that takes me by surprise because I just think, why would you sing it if you don't believe it?
Exactly. I agree with that. And yes, so then maybe that's what they're talking about in terms of that innate
Right,
stage
yeah.
presence.
Yeah, for an actor too.
Yeah. It's like what you bring from inside of you.
Well, I want to get back to the music, and maybe we'll just jump into another song. You've switched
We
up
can do
your
that.
tuning on this
I
thing a
did.
little bit. And, well, I won't say any words. I'll let you introduce it however you would like.
Well, yeah. So, as I had mentioned, my husband. Well, I don't know. Did I mention my husband was also my fellow musician? He played bass and percussion and guitar, and we had a swing trio for a while. But he was a songwriter himself and dabbled in all kinds of open tunings. And I would come home and pick up my guitar and think, I'm going to play an A minor, and wasn't anything like an A minor because he had changed the tuning on the guitar. So I learned to write in different tunings. So I found this tuning because of a Ken Yates song, and it's for anybody out there that's the guitar people. It's like Dadgad, so D, A, and then instead of G, it's an F sharp, and then D, A, D. And I don't even know what chord it is. It's lovely, though. See? So I had... my guitar had been in this tuning for, I don't know, a month or so. Part of the experience of grieving for me has been a lot about writing, but it's been mostly blogging. And one of my singer-songwriter friends said, "So, have you written a song about it yet?" "No, not yet." Well, I finally did. And it's, as I said before, I think the thing that is important about being able to write a song that everybody can relate to in their own way, it's not just about me. It's about all of us who have our own experiences with this. It's called Bring You Home. All the broken-hearted walking, breathing slowly, softly talking, all the missing that we do, they miss theirs, I miss you. Is there nothing I can do to bring you home again? And I would cross the river wide and ferry to the other side, gladly pay the boatman's fee, just to bring you back with me. There's not a thing I wouldn't do to bring you home again. How do you see me now? And do you hear me call your name? I'm lost here all alone. My life is not the same without you. Lovers now embark, whispering questions in the dark, mending hearts with love as glue. Still small cracks, the light shines through. Tell me, what else can I do to bring you home again? And can you see me now? And do you hear me call your name? I'm out here all alone. My life will never be the same without you. All the broken-hearted walking, breathing slowly, softly talking, all the missing that we do. They miss theirs, I miss you, and not a thing that I can do to bring you home again. Thank you. Thanks.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
It's a very pleasant sound for the weight of the subject.
Yeah, and I think, as my song sisters, we meet every week, even though we can't see one another in person. And as Amy and Sue both said, it's got a universality to it. And I hope that it's not just about, having lost someone to death, but losing a relationship, any relationship, perhaps, and how we find our way back to the light, how we manage to marshal on.
You mentioned that it was another songwriter that put the question to you, when are you going to write a song about it?
Yeah.
Why, for a songwriter, it's almost like an obligation that you've gone through that, but not only for your friend, but I think probably for you as well. Why does it have that sense of it?
Of needing to write a song about it?
Right, yeah.
For me, well, as I was telling Jen during our little break, because my husband was a guitar player, because one or both of us had a guitar in our hand every day, this was how I would talk to David. I would sit and play my guitar, and I would cry, and I would talk, and I would play, and I would cry, and I would talk, and I would play. And it's one of my major ways of expressing is through singing. So for me, it was compelling on me, incumbent on me, to actually write a song about my experience. But then it's like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and write about the fact that my husband died. Okay, how do we do that? Oh, you're gone? I don't know. I didn't know where to start, and it wasn't until I started playing around with this open tuning that the song came. Mm-hmm. And that's happened to me before with songs, like one of David's open tunings that I ended up writing a song that had been formulating for over 2 years. And all I had was just a few lines. And then there was this tuning, and it just wrote itself. Mm-hmm. This one was painful to write, only because it came line by line by line.
Yeah.
Whereas most of the time as a songwriter, it's like, oh, it's rolling along. Okay, well, maybe I'll need to change this part, or that's not quite right. But this was like literally line by line by line. I'd pick it up every day and I'd play as far as I had gotten and go, what's next? I don't know. I didn't know how long it was going to take me to write it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's a different process, partly because you're going through a process yourself as you're trying to write the thing. Like you've got to figure out where you are, and a lot of times when you sit down and write a song, you've already been through the experience and you already know where you stand right now. But this one, you can't write it faster than you can grow.
Yeah, right, exactly, and it is. It's this. Everybody does it differently, and everybody does it in their own time, and yet we all share this. Ultimately, we all share this experience. So, not necessarily as a songwriter, but other people paint paintings, or they write, or they find other ways. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a lot of your art, and I'll back off, and this will get a little bit lighter for you now.
Oh, that's okay. No, believe me, I actually would like to at some point put together a show where I actually am able to express all of these things, because I think it is such a universal subject. And in fact, the album that we did in tribute to my husband has got a lot of spoken word, and it has his music on the background of it. And so it's, yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, sorry.
Oh, no, since you brought that up, then I'll ask sort of the same question. Why is that a compelling project to you? Why is it something that you feel is important, I guess?
The tribute album?
Yeah, right.
Because David was also a writer, and he had a blog page with over 8,000 people who followed him from around the world. And he had put together a book and had been working on a second book. And because his words were so inspirational to people, we thought that it was important to put it together with some of the music that he had created that didn't have words. And so along with Jeff Sarver, we put this project together starting last November and finished it finally in July. And there's even some spontaneous vocals on there, kind of a lament, if you will. But it's many of David's poems and then some of my responses. And so it's a tribute to him, as well as, again, that universal experience of what we all go through at some point in time.
Yeah.
With a little bit of wisdom. He was kind of the holy fool, the crazy wisdom guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took nothing too seriously.
Although you've mentioned some solo performance as part of your experience as an artist, it sounds like collaboration is very important to what you do with your husband and with your trio that you're a part of, with musical theater, where you've got a huge troupe of people that you could be working with.
My jazz guys, I love working with the jazz musicians. Yeah, they're so much fun.
What is it that draws you to collaboration?
What can come out of it? When we collaborate, we have the opportunity to see things from different points of view and to experience things from different points of view and to hear different ideas. So for me, performing with a jazz band, maybe during a solo, the piano player may play some phrase that sounds really interesting. He voices a chord in such a way that it's like, ooh, when I come back in and I have an opportunity to do a scat solo over the top of this, I can go in that direction. I wouldn't have thought of that direction before. So that is the wonderful part about collaborating. And even in songwriting, sometimes somebody will say, well, what about this word right here bothers me? If you're talking to someone in a songwriting group, and you go, oh, maybe I could rewrite that. Maybe there's another way that I can frame that actually expresses more clearly what I want to say. Mm-hmm. Have you had that experience?
Yeah, well, when I think of collaborating, I think of maybe more along the lines of that chord that you were talking about, of trying to come up with a way to surprise the other people that you're performing with, because when you're doing music, you don't want to just be like robotically, going through what you've done 100 times before, but you want to be like on your toes, and like the way you keep yourself excited about what you're doing is by surprising the other people that you're playing with.
Yeah, I can't really do that in the Song Sisters too much. We kind of have to stick to it because those things can throw you off. But yeah, if I'm with a jazz combo,
well, even just like when it's your time to on the instrument to take a solo or something, like
right.
I usually play the solo like this. This time I'm gonna go way up the neck, or I'm gonna try something. I normally go really fast, and this time I'm just gonna give them one note and just hang there, and then come in with another one. So, not that I'm gonna like change the chord structure of the song or something on them.
But yeah, it's like, and they're going, is that the only note he's gonna play? How many measures? Is it my turn to come in yet? Right.
Yeah, right.
Where are we at? Are we at the top? Yeah. I'm gonna. If you keep talking, and I'm gonna retune this because my last song I have to do in standard tuning.
Yeah, the name of this is free. I think instead of really just sitting here and talking, I'm gonna read a couple of words of it.
Please.
This will be the first verse of this. This idea of freedom has come up a couple of times. We talked about freedom as an actor or an actress. When you have your role, there's a sense of freedom that comes with that. And in this one, you got a lot of images of nature, and all these images of nature are images of freedom for you.
Yeah, and actually, this song was inspired two ways. One, I'm a huge fan of the Persian poets Rumi, Hafiz, Kabir, Rabia, and some of the concepts in this song come from a poem by Rumi, where he talks about out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. And so that is sort of where this came from. Let's see if it actually this. It's always the B string, isn't it? We tune because we care. I was a judge for the singer-songwriter contest this year at the Acorn, and one of the fellows had a lovely song, but he was so nervous that he forgot to tune before he came on, and that was kind of sad. Not quite yet. So that was the other inspiration for this particular song came from how much I love Latin jazz and Antonio Carlos Jobim. So Jobim often uses nature as a way of articulating what he wants to say about the world. All right, so free?
Yeah.
Little fish are swimming in the water. Ride the waves and feel the tide. They are free in an ocean wide. Little birds are soaring from the treetops. Open wings and feel the sky. They are free. Open wings and fly. What about you and me? Tell me what you see. Is there a way for us to be free? Like a tree I'm planted in the mother. Though I have no roots to bind my feet, I can wander free to a place where we can meet. In a field beyond all fear and longing, there where hearts can touch and no release, they are free. Come and go in peace. What about you and me? Tell me, do you see? Is there a way for us to be free? Little fish are swimming in the ocean. Little birds are soaring from the trees. They are free, just like you and me. Let us meet there in that field of knowing, beyond all thoughts of right and wrong. we are free, like the notes within a song. What about you and me? Tell me, don't you see that we will always be free?
Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you. Thanks.
I see the Latin jazz influence you're talking about on
Yeah.
the guitar. You've got the interesting chords and the interesting movement on there, and your voice just hanging up there above the whole thing.
Get to soar, yeah.
Yeah. Very nice effect. Nice song.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up with that one. Thank you
you.
again for joining us.
Thank you, John. And thanks for all your lovely questions. And thanks to George and Wild Rose Moon and Moonlight. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to Ryan. We're going to get to hear his lovely voice. And next time, 2 weeks from now, October 23rd, we've got Dan Breen coming on the show. So tune in for that one. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us again. A great show, a great guest, Patty Shaffner. Fantastic work. Let's mention our sponsors and make all this possible. We got the Gibson Foundation, Gibson Insurance, Marshall County Community Foundation, Marshall County Tourism, and the Encore Performing Arts Center. Behind the scenes, we have George Schricker. John Baylor, of course, is the host. We have Howard Gibbs, Matthew Bergmoser, Jennifer Reed, myself, I'm Ryan Meir. Be sure to check out wildrosemoon.com. You can help support us by becoming a member or just making a donation. So thank you very much. We'll see you next time on Moonlight.